talking about perfectionism and perfectionism's dirty little lie. And if you are new, my name is Lauren Golden. I am the founder of the Free Mama and Freedom Founder Society. Welcome. I teach moms how to start and grow successful freelancing businesses from home so that they never have to choose between family and financial stability. I have been doing this for a hot second now, and both in my own experience, but also working with other moms, I see perfectionism as one of the things that really gets in our way. And especially if you are like me and you identify as a high achiever. So you are used to, I'll put it in quotes, performing. You are used to working really hard. You are used to being very driven. And maybe this came out in academics in school. You got really good grades. Or maybe in sports, you were very competitive and very involved. Maybe in leadership opportunities, whether that was in clubs or theater, the arts, it doesn't really matter. But like, I feel like there's kind of this itch that can never really be scratched for the high achiever. And I often feel like perfectionism and high achiever, like that high achiever mentality can go hand in hand. And when I think back to when I first started in this world, it was very apparent very early on that I was using perfectionism and its lie to prevent myself from making progress. Now, I didn't know I was doing this. This was obviously happening sort of subconsciously. I had no idea I was like sabotaging my results. I thought that I just had, and this is really, really important because this is the distinction I had to make later on. I just thought I had really high standards. I'm like, I can't put something out there that is not amazing because I'm capable of producing something amazing. But where these things are not the same is that I still have high standards today, but now I identify as sort of a recovered perfectionist. For a while, it was in recovery, but now I don't see those tendencies flare up anymore the way that they used to. But if that might be you right now, that might look like wanting to have everything figured out in your business before you start. So you're very clear on your services and your offer, and you have it packaged ready to go, and you are crystal clear on what your pricing is. And, you feel very competent and confident that you have already gone through all of the motions of said services or offer before you tell people about it. And not just that, but then we have to get to the visual aspect of your offer. So whether that is a website or a portfolio or a funnel or business cards or a flyer, it doesn't matter the mechanism, but it's however you're then going to display that thing, and then how we're going to talk about it. And it's thinking all of those things have to be just right before you actually introduce it to the world. And there's one person in particular, I always think of her. She is one of the OG free mamas. So I have known her for years and years and years. And I remember when I first started coaching her, I actually felt a little bit triggered because I was so fresh off that space of like wanting everything to be perfect before I told anybody. And so what it was like working with her in those early days is if you have started freelancing or thought about starting a business, this may sound familiar as well, but you don't necessarily know exactly what you want to do because you probably haven't done it yet. And so you're kind of leaning on your past work experience or things that sound interesting. Maybe you are really savvy and you have downloaded my 70 skills checklist, which I'll come put a comment with the link and you can go grab that resource for free, that goes through all of these things that entrepreneurs and business owners are dying to pay you money for. They want to hire you to do these things. They're looking to outsource. And so you look at that list and you're thinking about it. And what happened was she made some early decisions just based on guessing, right? Based on what her interests and her strengths were, maybe her previous work experience, maybe kind of the low hanging fruit, or even what she saw her peers doing, which is great. The problem is then she went and she spent, 2 weeks doing nothing but building this gorgeous website. And it was gorgeous. She spent this gorgeous website. But in those 2 weeks of building that website, and in the days that followed, she realized, well, maybe I don't actually want to do that thing, or just like that, I actually want to do that thing over there. And so then again, instead of telling people or working with clients, or she spent the next month redoing her website, rewriting the copy, redesigning things, switching up the colors, maybe picking some new imagery. And again, she had this gorgeous website, but by the end of 1 to 2 months, all she had done was a whole lot of unpaid labor. And I think we can all agree that as mothers, we have enough unpaid labor. We are not starting a business so that we can work for free even more. That's not why any of us are choosing to get into freelancing. If you agree, let me know. I need to know that we are actually on the same page. We feel the same way about that. So if you agree that you are not here to work for free, write agree in the comments and let me know. So this is where the problematic nature of perfectionism comes in, because its dirty little lie is that you just want it to be perfect. You want it to be really, really good. You want other people to see it, think you produce really high quality stuff, and that they're going to hire you. But the lie part is that having high standards and doing really good work and meeting and exceeding people's expectations has little to nothing to do with perfectionism. So we have to step back and say, well, why, if my goal to start a business is to make money, why would I feel like the most urgent thing that I need to do is to spend 2 months doing and redoing a website until it's perfect before I talk about it? And what was definitely true for me, what was true for this person as well, and what is probably true for you is that there is some fear there. We use perfectionism as sort of this mask of the thing that we're really afraid of. And that's where we might differ, because there could be multiple things that maybe you feel afraid of. I know for me, my biggest fear for years and years and years and years, and it took me a long time to overcome, but I did overcome it, which means whatever the thing is you're afraid of, you can overcome it with time, but not by sitting back and thinking about it, not by letting perfectionism take the reins. It's by sort of rewiring your brain by doing the scary thing anyway, by doing the hard thing anyway. And what we do over time is we gather all this little proof, this evidence over time that like that thing we're afraid of, like it's not going to kill us, but it might keep us stuck. It might fill us with regret later in our life when we don't go for those things we want. So for me, what that looked like was I was really, really afraid of what other people were going to think about me. Like, I'm going to put this business out there and people are going to be thinking about me, which they're not. We're all kind of thinking about ourselves. We're very egotistical creatures. We just are. But my fear was the fear of judgment. They're going to think that I'm stupid. They're going to think that who the heck, that I think like I'm better than everybody, or who the heck does she think she is? There was of course a fear of, well, if I fail, they'll all see me. It wasn't even the failure, if I'm honest, that I was afraid of. It was that other people were going to see that I had failed at something. So for me, it was very much about the judgment, the perception of other people. That was my fear. And so I would go into these perfectionist tendencies as an avoidance tactic, because once I put it out there, it was available for other people to judge me. Okay, so we've got to figure out what's our fear. If you struggle with perfectionism, if you're having a hard time putting stuff out there before you think it's perfect, which I always joke with my kids, whenever they use the word perfect, what we talk about in our family is that perfect does not exist, because perfect is an entirely subjective comment. It's entirely subjective. I could think something is perfect, and at the same time someone else might not like it at all. Think about really famous movies, so maybe like the Harry Potter franchise, or like a really delicious meal, like your favorite meal. There are people that don't like your favorite meal. There are people who don't like Harry Potter. I'm not friends with any of them. No, I'm just kidding. But they're like, we don't all have the same preferences, and therefore perfectionism should never be the target, because what we really need to think about as business owners and just as people is like, did I do my best is a whole lot better than perfectionism. But when it comes to business, we really need to think about, is this effective? So ultimately, I've learned over time in my own experience in business, but also coaching other people, is we're asking the wrong question. If our goal, if our target is perfect, is this perfect before I put it out there? We need to figure out, like, what am I afraid of by putting this out there? And when we look at our work, whatever it is, the thing we're working on, whether it's messaging or something that has a design component like a website, a social media post, a live, things like this, is this effective? I'm recording this right now. I'm not on any fancy mm, camera. I'm just on my laptop camera. I don't have my microphone plugged in. I don't even hardly use it anymore at all. I haven't in years. It's really inconvenient for my current setup. And before that, I was traveling full time. None of these things have stopped me from making live videos, from making free trainings, from showing up on Zoom and doing master classes with my coaching community, or from being guests in other people's audience, whether that's a podcast interview or a live interview for YouTube or whatnot. So, I think we can have high standards, but again, we want to make sure we're asking the right question. And my question is this effective? Is the message getting through? Did what I say help other people? From the freelancing lens, it's, am I connecting to the business owners that need my help? Am I having sales conversations with people? Am I expanding my professional network? And often, if we look at those questions and we compare them against the activities that we're spending our time on when we are stuck in perfectionist tendencies, they are not the same. It does not align. Often, our perfectionist actions that sort of follow that is it perfect train of thought are actually done in complete isolation because often we're hiding. Well, I'm telling you right now, if you are hiding as a business owner, as a freelancer, you are never going to connect with the people that you're meant to serve. And furthermore, you're never going to figure out the answers to the things that would make it closer to perfect or more effective. We learn those through conversation, through dialogue, through listening to what other people are struggling with and what they say that they need. And then this is the beautiful part about being a freelancer and a service provider, especially a heart-centered service provider. Everyone I work with just wants to help other people. We want to have a big positive impact on other people. And if we're not out talking to them and then listening and unpacking our own skill set and how we can help other people solve their problems, then we're completely missing the mark. So it's not about being perfect. It's not about having fancy equipment or everything beautiful online. It's really about showing up and connecting and changing the questions that we're asking. So I want you to ask yourself, like, is what I'm doing effective? Is it helping get me closer to my goals? That's a really great place to start. And if you feel yourself getting stuck in those perfectionist sort of activities, those, building and rebuilding and redoing, what I want you to think about is what am I afraid of? What am I avoiding by doing this? What am I waiting for? Last story, and then I'll wrap up. I always joke, I spent the entire first year before I launched the Free Mama community and my program and all of the ways that I now teach women to freelance. I spent an entire year prior to that watching other people. And I got stuck in these beliefs. Many of them were told to me by the people I was watching, that there were all these secrets. There were all these things that I didn't know yet. And so I always joke that for an entire year, I was sort of waiting and watching, and that I watched every webinar on the internet because I'm pretty sure in 2016 that I watched every webinar that was on the internet. Luckily, that was back then. There's probably way more webinars on the internet today than there were in 2016, but that was the year where I did nothing because I was so convinced that I didn't know enough. And the things I did know, they weren't good enough. They weren't ready. If I watched one more webinar, then I'd feel ready, right? If I learned one more skill, then my thing would be closer to perfect. But a year is a really long time to lose stuck in that mindset. So that's why in our community we do a lot of mindset conversations. We get very real and we have to be very honest. We have to ask ourselves the hard questions, which also means finding the right questions. Because as we talked about today, if you're asking yourself the wrong question, you're going to get the wrong answer. So, thank you for tuning in. If this was helpful, if this was valuable, if this resonated, if this sort of tickled something in you that you're like, yeah, that's me, I've been doing that, Let me know in the comments. Let me know that's me. And finally, I would like to invite you to join our community of free mamas. We have a group over on School. It is awesome. We do monthly networking calls. We have real honest conversations in the private community. We have quarterly virtual events where we focus on personal and professional development. We bring in speakers. It's just a great place to be and to hang out if you are a freelancing or aspiring freelancing mom. So I will drop that link in the comments as well if you would love to come and be in community with other people who are honest about having these same struggles and how they overcame them. And last but not least, if you would like to watch your last webinar on the internet and find out how I can help you grow and start or grow your freelancing business, I will put a link to that down below as well. It is all about how to make money from home without MLMs or network marketing. And it's about an hour of your time. And I'm going to go through my entire freedom framework, which is the same. Freedom is an acronym. This is my proven process on how I have taught over 8,000 women to start their own successful freelancing businesses from home. Okay, that's it from me. Don't focus on perfectionism, focus on being effective, and let me know if this was helpful. I'll see you soon.